I abandoned my best friend of 7 years, and all my other friends, by changing my number without telling them and moving out of state without saying where I was going. No warning. I was closer to him than anyone in the world. We were practically telepathic when we were together, like twins separated at birth. We could sit for hours in a comfortable silence with no reason to speak. He could be in pain hundreds of miles away and I would know about it. We also lived together almost 3 years. We were inseparable in college, met our freshman year, but we spent the next 5 years dating separate people and making each other batshit jealous, on purpose, really, I guess each of us trying to force the other one into taking a stand on our relationship. We also drove across the country together, just the two of us. Throughout our friendship, starting maybe a year and a half into it, we made out every once in a while and fooled around. Several times a year it would just sort of happen without any rhyme or reason, but it never went much further than that because I wouldn't let it. I didn't know what we thought we were doing to begin with. I was raised in the rural South and didn't have any kind of experience with that kind of thing. The first time he made a pass at me, I thought he was gonna fight me. It was definitely the hottest sex I've ever had though, completely different than girls obviously, but also different because it was him. It was passionate but it was tender too. It wasn't like anything I'd experienced before. We never really talked about it, it was just an accepted part of our relationship, and it did get more and more intense the longer it went on. We never dated or anything, we didn't consider ourselves queer, we were just always together and it worked. And we both slept off and on with women during college at this point, but it was J.'s Saturday night sport. We used women for casual drunken sex and then withheld intimacy from them because we were only willing to give it to each other. The last time we were together he came up behind me while I was washing dishes at the sink and just put his arms around me and put his lips against the back of my neck. It was the first intimate contact we'd had in weeks. I hadn't been with anyone else almost 2 years at that point. It was after a dinner where 2 of our friends were engaged and getting ready to be married, so of course that's all they could talk about. He waited until everyone left to be able to touch me, and that made me feel angry and sad like it never had before, even though we were so used to it by then. And that was the last night that I saw him. He wanted me to stay the night and I did. A day or so later I turned my phone off and left town. The last words on the last phone message I ever got from him, before I changed my number: "Please call me, I love you." It was so plaintive, the sound of his voice like that almost made me call him back right then, but I didn't. I cut off my other mutual friends for the simple reason that they would want to know why I did it and I didn't want my friend to feel like I was abandoning just him, so I abandoned all of them. I figured at least they would be there to catch him that way and they could commiserate together on what a cold-hearted bastard I was for running out on everyone. But it really wasn't like that though. I just couldn't explain to them why the feelings between us scared me so bad. They didn't know anything about the real way me and my friend felt about each other. It was a secret and only one of our roommates suspected because he caught us kissing once in college. And that did not go well, I couldn't explain. So I left instead. This happened about 2 years ago, a little bit less. Edit, as for everyone asking me why I did it, it's very complicated but the short answer is that we love each other and we can't be together for various reasons. I go into some of those reasons in the comments here and over at r/LGBT edit too. We are both guys, 26 years old, and no, I haven't been with any other guys, and I was only with girls before him, and I haven't been with anybody since. Edit 3, yes, I am a massive chicken shit and a selfish bastard. Hence the throwaway account and the running away halfway across the country without telling anybody to avoid secret awkward best friend bromance. Edit 4, thanks for all the comments and questions, it feels good to confess it to somebody. My family thinks I moved for a job. I've tried to elaborate on my story a little bit so people understand more where I'm coming from and why I did what I did. Update 1. So here's what I've learned about how my best friend/lover has been doing since I skipped town for almost 2 years after cutting off contact with him and all of my other friends. I did talk to my brother a few nights ago and asked him casually what Nick had been up to, and he said he's been riding a lot and working at the stables and volunteering at the animal shelter. I also know he's been hunting with my brother. He hasn't dated and my brother said he won't go out drinking. Too busy playing Dr. Dolittle, he says. I asked if he was upset when I left and my brother laughed and said, "What do you think?" So yeah. That's what I've got to work with. Upon my disappearance, my best friend/boyfriend has apparently taken up the hobby of bottle feeding kittens when he's not mucking stables, sitting in a tree stand, or out riding by himself. I don't even know what to do with that information. He sounds completely withdrawn. I mean, he was always an introverted guy, we're actually both pretty quiet in person, but he's shy whereas I guess I'm just more stoic. So most people probably wouldn't even notice much of a difference, but that's some hardcore solitude even for him. At least he's not with anyone, so that's one thing I don't have to worry about. In any case, I pushed back my trip home until next weekend, so I could send him a letter. I already shocked him once by just disappearing into thin air, I don't think it's fair to do it twice by just showing up out of nowhere. So I wrote this letter on quality paper, sealed with red wax, and I'm going to put it in overnight priority mail Monday in a separate envelope so I don't have to put his address on the actual letter itself, just his name. Here it is, Tilda, I'm putting my heart in your hands. You did the same for me once and I fucked it up big time. Here's your chance to get me back, one way or the other. I want to be with you, and I'll spend 2 years for every week I was gone making it up to you. I still want us to honeymoon in Amsterdam and grow old with too many dogs and argue about what kind of movies to watch at night. Tell me you'll at least still consider it. I love you, I love you, I love you. Feel free to Xerox this letter and staple it to every telephone pole in 10 miles. I don't give a damn who knows. Edit. Thanks for all the well wishes. I'm going to tweak this letter a little bit according to some suggestions I've received. It's just my first draft. Consensus is that it needs to be more apologetic, less mushy. Post office is closed tomorrow anyway. Edit 2. Forgot to mention, the reason I'm writing him a love letter is because I wrote him one once before, back before we started to get serious. I was too shy to tell him how I felt to his face, so I wrote a letter and left it under his pillow. I was hoping seeing another one would bring up sweet memories for him of us. _notable comments. This made me tear up. I hope everything works out. As someone who cut off contact from all friends for a year, expect hurt and questions whose answers you may not really be able to explain. If he does accept you back in his life, don't dare ever run away from him again. It will seem the easiest solution come hard times, but it doesn't solve a thing. Reliot 17. I'd fix this part. I read it like it's his fault he lost you and he has to win you over again, when it's the exact opposite. You have to win him over. Put something like, good luck, op. Love knows no bounds. So if he does accept, don't be surprised if he acts a bit distant at first. He simply might be afraid of losing you and he's in a bit of a shock that you even left in the first place, now that all those memories from when you left are coming back. Take it slow and steady. Update 2. Okay, after much deliberation, this is what my final letter to Nick looked like after I edited out the mushier parts. No worries to the folks that like the mushier parts, I just figured those would be better left said in person, where I can gauge his reaction beforehand and there's no chance of me being misunderstood. Apologies first. I also sent a mixtape of the following MP3s on a /zip flash drive. I listed them just for anybody who is curious what songs I sent. Don't laugh, I know it sounds corny as hell, but we used to exchange playlists all the time, not just of love songs but of all kinds of music, and he loves that sort of stuff. Yes, it's kind of sappy. Anyone who doesn't like it can kiss my ass. I'm trying to get used to saying that before I go back. _notable comments. Dude. Calm yourself. Take a heavy breath, step back, and look at yourself. This sounds kinda crazy. And by kinda I really mean, bat fucking shit crazy. You royally fucked this guy the first time around. I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to kill you. This could end so badly. Not by him killing you, but by ripping your heart out and shredding it to pieces just like you did to him. I know this letter is your way of trying to get in touch with him and say things without having to bear with any negative reactions, but I really think you should just send a letter with your name and number. That gets the point across that why you want to talk, but leaves him the option of whether or not he wants to contact you. This is the safest kindest thing to do. Deleted user, MP3s on a zip drive. I know you're going through a lot and it seems like a heart-wrenching story, but am most fascinated by the fact that both you and Nick have zip drives in 2013. I feel pretty conflicted about this confession, after having read all your posts. For you, this will bring closure, whether it's absolution or rejection. I wish you the best of luck. Nick? What if he's found closure and you reopen his wounds? I hope it works out for him too. Update 3. Okay, so here's a transcription of the text conversation I have just had over the past hour. N. Is this Tobias? Me, Nick? N. I got your letter. Me, and? N. Love songs will not fix this, Tobias. Me, I know, I'm sorry. I just thought you'd like it. N. I did, and that's beside the point. You fucked me over and you think a mixtape is going to fix it? Me, I'm so sorry, Nikki. I just want to see you again. I want you to look into my face and see how sorry I am. I'll do anything to make it up to you. N. Why now, after all this time? Get bored playing Runaway? Me, I came back because I love you. I never stopped. Please, I just want to talk. I never left because of you. If you want to throw me out on the sidewalk on my face when you see me, I won't stop you. N. How can I turn down an offer like that? You're coming this weekend? Me, I was planning on driving over early Friday morning. I won't get there until after midnight. Maybe early Saturday morning. I might have to stop and take a nap, it's a long way. N. Come see me when you get here then. Text me before you head over. I'm serious though, Tobias, I'm fucking furious at you right now. You don't even know. Me, I know I love you. N. That's the only reason we are even having this conversation. Me, do you still love me? N. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know how I feel right now. We'll talk Saturday. #notable comments. Godspeed you awkward ass emperor. I hope things turn out for the best. Update 4. So yesterday at like the ass crack of dawn, I set out for Tennessee. Finally. After freaking out about it to tens of thousands of people, and pacing around my apartment for 2 days, I drove. This part of the story is actually pretty boring, because road trips by yourself are pretty boring. I sing to the radio pretty much non-stop, in case you find that entertaining. I stopped off about 11 o'clock, grabbed a fast food lunch, and slept for 6 hours in a motel room because I was tired as hell. Woke up just before 6, which was actually a really dumb thing to do because it put me right into Friday rush hour traffic. I texted Nick when I stopped for gas and told him where I was. I was half afraid he regained his senses from the night before and wasn't going to respond. He texted right back though, was still flipping out a little every time the phone vibrated, and told me to text him when he got to town. I told him it was going to be really late, and he said it didn't matter. After many hours, I finally made it into town at about 1:45. I texted him again and told him I was back, and he told me to come on over. I've gotta say, this was the point that I was most nervous during the entire thing, seeing him for the first time after 2 years. His place is out in the middle of nowhere. I passed sleeping horses on either side of the road, and I had to drive slow because it's gravel in some places. Finally I got to his double-wide trailer. You can laugh or make trailer trash jokes, but the last time I saw that place it was nice inside, and this time it was even nicer. I winced as I drove up the drive because the dogs, too, somewhere along the way he must have gotten a second one, came flying out of the dog door and were barking/following the car all the way from the gate. This makes me super nervous because I just know that I'm going to run over one of these stupid fucking dogs right in front of Nick, and that will be the first time he sees me after 2 years. Turning one of his dogs into a road waffle. Luckily, that didn't happen. They're redneck country dogs and they know how to stay out of the way of moving cars and driveways. And then Nick opened the door. I just realized this entire time I've been posting to Reddit about this that I haven't even described him, not a single time. It wasn't deliberate though, it's just that I never thought about it. He's been accused of looking like a scruffy Paul Rudd. Okay, I've accused him of looking like a scruffy Paul Rudd. He has dark brown hair that he's let grow out since the last time I seen him, down to his collar, except he wasn't wearing a collar. He wasn't wearing anything but a pair of hospital scrubs as pajama pants. And he has dark gray eyes. I've never seen anybody else with eyes like that. He was looking at me completely neutral and leaning up against the post of the front porch as I got out of the car and petted the dogs enough to get them out of my way. I walked up to him without getting my bag or anything. I opened my mouth to talk and that's when he walked forward and locked his arms around me, hard. And at that point I just start bawling like a little kid that's been lost for days. I couldn't help it. I couldn't say anything, certainly not any of the suave opening lines I've been planning out for the past 13+ hours. Very uncool. To Nick's credit, it would have been very uncool on his part to punch me out in such a pathetic state, even if that was his first inclination. So instead he just held and hushed me while I dialed back the waterworks. With anybody else, I would have been embarrassed, but right then I wasn't. Finally I drew back from him and he kind of nodded towards the house and told me he would get my bag. So I open the screen door and the regular door, and go inside. Pretty much looks a lot like the last time I saw it, except for the TV. He didn't have a TV before. Otherwise his house looks like the place of somebody who secretly wants to live in a library. It kind of drives me nuts, but what can I say? I read anything, especially when someone leaves it laying around on the coffee table, the nightstands, the floor, or the counter. Don't even get me started on the books, they've become their own form of furniture. It's clean otherwise though, and I love it. He followed me in with the dogs and my backpack and I was feeling pretty hang-faced at this point, just wore out of driving and embarrassed now for crying, afterwards. Go to bed, he says. What am I going to do, argue to sleep on the couch? But I can tell by the way he's looking at me that he wasn't joking. He really is furious, and the only thing keeping me from catching hell was the fact that I must have just looked so miserable and tired he would have felt like a bastard for laying into me. So I go back to the bedroom and he follows me, putting my bag over in the corner next to the nightstand. I shuck out of my clothes and curl up under the sheets. He had been sitting up in bed reading a book and waiting for me. He closes the dogs out of the room and then gets in on the opposite side of the bed, though he lies down on his back looking up at the ceiling with his hands behind his head and I'm lying on my side looking at him. No streetlights, so once he turns the side lamp off when we're both in bed I can't really see his face. At this point, the calm is scaring me a lot. I would rather be screamed at than to hear him talk like that, because it made me feel like he didn't feel anything for me. He said he was fucking furious but this new effect was like he didn't care at all. At first he didn't answer, and that really was a low point for me. I rolled over away from him on the bed and tried real hard not to cry again. After what felt like a long time, it was really only a couple of seconds, he rolled over towards me, and curled up against my back, putting his arm around my waist. I did start crying again then, and trying to apologize again, but he just shushed me. I fell asleep with him whispering, "It's okay," Tobias in my ear. And that is the first time I've fallen asleep in anyone's arms in almost 2 years. Thank you everybody who supported me and gave me advice for my very first confession. I don't think it's going to be easy for us to completely repair our relationship, and we have a lot to talk about, but I think we're on our way to being better.